Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I do hope you are well. I'm carrying on from the last video you saw me in when I was doing some repairs and doing some sewing machine maintenance. It seems like ages ago already, a couple of hours ago. It is a mega busy day and the list goes on and on for miles. Now I'm probably going to be up till gone midnight getting it finished. I'm determined to get my list finished today. But no matter how busy I am, no matter how determined I am, I think it's really important at some little points in the day to just stop and breathe. And that's what I'm doing. I thought, well, if I'm going to stop and have a breather, let's have a catch up with you at the same time, because this is my chill time. I can spend it with you before I crack into the rest of that list. So I've got a few bits and bobs to share. I've done myself a hot chocolate. I don't know why, I'm actually feeling really, really warm today. The rain stopped, the sun came out, so it's been on the window, which is warming the flat up. The outside temperature is a bit more mild anyway. I've been running around like a headless chicken. I've just been up and down the stairs twice. I'm really warm. Yeah, well, hot chocolate can cool. I'll have it in a minute. So, yes. I made a note to remind myself. This is completely random, apropos of nothing whatsoever. Do you ever get that thing where you either say a word or write a word, and it's a really simple word like went, as in I went to the post office. You write it down and suddenly it looks wrong. It just looks wrong, or it sounds wrong, and then you say it over and over, went, I went, went, and it just starts to sound like gobbledygook, or the way you've written it looks like, have I spelt it wrong? Is there an H after the W? Do you ever get that? I do get it sometimes, and especially the sound one, when I sound a word out, but I'm not a very confident speller anyway. I can't spell to save my life, but simple words like went, yes, I know how to spell. And the other day, I was sending an email to someone, and I was trying to say in the email, yes, I think I've got the knack of it now. Knack, K-N-A-C-K. And I was staring at the word knack, and I was thinking, yes, I've got the knack of it. Surely, does it have the K? Yes, it has the K. Knack, 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 knack. Anyway, I went into one of those spirals of it doesn't look right, it doesn't sound right. I've got the dictionary out. Knack, K-N-A-C-K. And I was thinking about those K-N words, knack or knock, not, knowledge, knickers, knowing, same as knowledge. I can't think of any more for the minute. Who the heck put the K in front? Who decided that the K should go in front? Oh my goodness. I don't know the etymology. I don't know how we've ended up with a K in front of N's and the K is silent. I just think, you know what, maybe it's time for us to revise the language and drop all the silent letters. So P's, pseudonym, let's drop the P. Psychology, let's drop the P. What are we doing in these? Now I know that some of it will be to do with the origin of the word. You know, if it's Greek, I think if it's Greek, that'll be the PS. Although they don't have those letters, it'll be more. It's like the Poseidon's trident symbol, isn't it? Is it ps or ps? Yeah, it's more ps as in lips. So that ps sound rather than the silent P. Anyway, I'm digressing already, but yeah, it just occurred to me it's not just occurred to me, it's always been occurring to me, what an incredibly difficult, complex language English is. And yeah, I really feel for anyone who's studying English as a second language. I can barely deal with English as my mother tongue, but yeah, to anyone who is learning English as a second language, bravo. And you know, it seems like most of the world learns English and do it so well. You know, we're not great in the UK at having a second language. I think, you know, within school we learn generally one of three. We'll either learn French or German or Spanish. I think that's changing a bit. I think some schools probably do sort of Mandarin, Cantonese, some of the sort of Chinese languages. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I can do a bit of French, I can do a bit of German, a bit of Spanish, but that's it. And when I get comments from you, this is one of the things I wanted to say, is I get comments from a lot of people for whom English is not their first language, but they comment in English, and then within the comment will apologise for their English. Please don't ever apologise for your English. Because it's every message, comment I've ever read that's from someone writing in English as their second language, it's always been perfectly understandable, perfectly clear. I get it, thank you. Your English is great. And put it this way, I don't have a word of Norwegian or Swedish or Danish or Finnish or Polish or Czech or Icelandic. So I really appreciate the fact that when you communicate with me, you do it in my language and you do it really well. So thank you. I've got a few words in Greek, not many left. I think I've forgotten most of them. I could still, if I went to Greece, I mean, I can say please and thank you in myriad languages. I think that's really important. Please, thank you and hello. But in Greek, I could still ask for a room with air conditioning and a beer. And I can also ask for another beer. Anyway, yeah, the KN words. Knack, knock. But nick, you see, nick, if you nick something, that's got no K. Who put the K there? I need to do, and actually what I should do is get the dictionary down, look at all the KN words and look at all the roots. Are they Latin, are they Greek? Where did that word start? Because maybe the K is a leftover from the previous language that we've stolen it from. Anyway, on we go with other bits. Language. Okay, that's perfect because today I'm going to talk about some letters and books and some post. Where shall we start? Let's just start with this morning because I've had post this morning that's so lovely. This one's from Kathleen. Oh, there we go. Kathleen, my love, thank you so much. You put a bit of a gift in there. That is so lovely of you, Kathleen. I shall use it well. Thank you, sweetie. And then I've got 2 letters here from Pat in Canada. Oh my goodness, you're prolific with your writing. It's lovely. Thank you for your letter. Thank you for the chocolate, you naughty thing. You asked me if I like milk chocolate. I love milk chocolate. Milk chocolate is by far my favourite chocolate. I wouldn't normally buy one with nuts, but I'm blooming going to enjoy it, I can tell you that much. And who knows, maybe the next book I read will end up with chocolate wrapper as a bookmark, like the last bar. Thank you, lovely. But she also, oh my goodness, I'm just going to take her post-it note off. I'm so giddy about this because I'm such a nerd. This is one of the things where I completely nerd out. She sent me a map of Saskatchewan. So that's her home province, and maybe I won't show anyway. Oh, I'll be careful what I show because, hang on, here we go, and there's more down here. But what's lovely, Pat, I can't wait to look at this properly later on when I finished all my jobs and bits and bobs, is she's put some little notes on it, little post-its to mark things out, like where she lives and where different things are. I love a map. Oh my goodness, I love maps. Maps just make me melt. And even things like reading the legend. Oh, I love it. I don't know what it is. Does anybody else have an obsession with maps out there? Do any of you just go nuts for a map? You know, the number of times when I've shown you in a book, I get so excited if the frontispiece or the end papers or at some point in the book there's a map. I think with the books, it's because it helps me to jump into the book even more. If I can see what they're talking about on a map, I can place myself in the map, I can be in the adventure. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, so that's a first for me. I don't have in all of my maps, I don't have any maps of Canada. Thank you, lovely. It kind of made me laugh too, because I just thought that's so completely random in the post, isn't it, to get a bit of Canada. I'm just going to fish out, because this was a note from Pat last week or the week before, losing track of time. I can't believe we're more than halfway through March. That gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, trying not to panic, because, you know, all through February when the weather was rubbish, and the only good days we had were days when I was trapped indoors waiting for a delivery. That didn't happen. Yeah, all through February, when the weather was poor, I was saying, well, you know what, it doesn't matter. I've got loads of time to be getting on with things in the garden. Suddenly, I'm going to find myself at the end of March having done nothing. So I'm hoping. The weather forecast looks like a whole another week of rain, and even if the rain stops like it has now, maybe it'll start again in an hour. It's one of those days where, yeah, I could drop everything and get off to the garden, but the chances are, by the time I get to the garden, the rain will start again, or that by this time of the day, I've been doing so much already, I've kind of scuppered my knees already and they're in no fit state to walk to the garden. Anyway, yeah, that's just how it's turned out this year, but I'm a bit, like I said, I'm a bit gobsmacked that we're heading towards the end of March already. Eek. Oh yeah, so back to Pat's letter from a date I can't remember. And I just wanted to pick out 3 words because they're in a sentence, they're so lovely. And it's, I suppose in a way, it's sort of saying, you know, if we can have these 3 things, if we can hold these three things dear for ourselves and make them part of our everyday person, then hopefully the world will be a better place. So the 3 words, very simply: love, authenticity, and gratitude. What a great collection of words to think about and live by on a daily basis. If we use those 3 words to live by, yeah, the world will be a marvellous place, or a more marvellous place, because it is marvellous a lot of the time. Love, authenticity, and gratitude. Pat, I loved reading that. Thank you so much. I'm just going to see if the hottie chock's cool enough yet. Sorry, Slurpee. Oh, it's lovely. It's a little bit too hot still. So this is the hot chocolate from Sandy. Sandy, I'm loving it. I'm not necessarily having it every single day. That would be a little bit naughty, wouldn't it? But now talking of naughty, this is really naughty. Pamela, you naughty creature, you. So, one of the videos, not the last one, the previous one maybe, I was talking about having finished the lavender bags, and that gave me a chunk of money, and I was using it to replace the money that I'd used for the washing machine, to replace that kind of emergency savings account. But that there would be a little bit left over, and I was going to put that into savings because, you know, it's a year when I just don't know how things are going to turn out, you know, with the move, and when I move, what will I need to buy, you know. And I'd mentioned a particular book that I'd had my eye on for a little while, but I was going to resist temptation because really I need to put that 15 quid in the bank for curtains, whatever, when I move. Anyway, a number of you got in touch, some of you in YouTube comments, some of you via Facebook, to say that you would like to buy that book for me. And I said, no, that's fine, it's okay. Thank you for offering, but really, no. And also, I was thinking that, because quite often my mum will say, what do you want for your birthday? I don't know what you want. So I thought, actually, it's something that maybe family Anyway, Pamela, she's so naughty, but thank you, lovely. I do love you. She didn't ask, she just sent the money. Honestly, folk, please, I want you to look after your money. I don't need your money. Look after your money, keep it, give it to charity, whatever it is. But I'm really, really grateful. So, Pamela, as soon as I got that message from Pamela, and I went straight to the bookshop. Oh, and what a joy, what a joy. It's the new bookshop, my local one. You'll have seen it in some of my Treats for a Tenner videos. I've shown you the outside of it with their sparkly lights at Christmas. Lovely little shop. Actually, I need to pop back there next week. I had a chat while I was in there about selling some of my first editions to them. Anyway, so the book that I've had my eye on, that I now have in my mucky little paws, can you see from there, my little Toller books? It's their sort of classic rural literature range. Is this one, Dorothy Hartley, called Made in England. The kind of cover gives it away, doesn't it? So I'll just give you a little synopsis. I think I might need to blow my nose. On the eve of the Second World War, the historian and artist Dorothy Hartley travelled by car and bicycle to document the crafts and cottage industries of England. Using photographs, meticulously drawn sketches and vivid descriptions, she created a fascinating panorama of skills and practices that have long vanished from the British Isles, such as thatching haystacks, making horse collars for field work, or weaving crab pots from green willow. I'm delighted to have my paws on this at last. I've looked at it so many times, but obviously £15 is a lot of money for a book. But I wonder if I can give you a little flick through so you can see all the illustrations, both photographic and her line drawings. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to save this. I'm not going to read this straight away because I've waited long enough for it already. I'm going to let that anticipation build up. But just to give you an idea, so the chapter headings are, there's 7 chapters. Wood. Chapter 2, straw, reed, grass and willow. Chapter 3, stone. Chapter 4, metal. Chapter 5, bricks and pottery. Chapter 6, leather and horn. Chapter 7, wool and feathers. So you can see how, remember I was telling you about which so far is my book of the year, the book I was talking about called The Man Who Made Things Out of Trees. I can't remember his first name, its surname is Penn. And I loved it. I wallowed in that book. I utterly loved it. Loved it. This, what a great kind of follow on. Back to all these, like it says, these disappearing crafts. Hopefully some of them are coming back somewhat. I heard somewhere, I can't for the life of me think where, but I was hearing a report about some crafts and some of these skills which actually apparently during lockdown some of these things started to come back, and the number of documented people doing it has risen, whereas there are others which have been around for ages which are now dwindling. So anyway, whatever, I will thoroughly enjoy this. Thank you, Pamela. I just wanted to say as well, thank you to everyone else who loads of you offered to buy this for me. You're really kind, you're all really naughty. So this kind of a thank you to all of you, but you know, Pamela, thank you, gorgeous. Whoa! I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to tell you about it. I think it's going to be absolutely splendid. Then, I'll come to that one last because I actually read it. Now, I had a book arrive about a week ago. I don't know who it's from. There's no gift note. And it was actually sent to my private address rather than to my PO box. So there aren't many of you who know my private address. My family and my kind of real life friends do, of course. I have no idea who it's from. If it's from you, Please put your hand up so I can thank you properly. It's a mystery. I think this is going to be a fabby for me. It's by William Bryant Logan and it's called Sprout Lands. What's the subtitle? Tending the Endless Gift of Trees. Again, could it be more my kind of thing? Once, farmers and rural people knew how to prune hazel to foster abundance, both of the edible nuts and of straight, strong, flexible rods for bridges, walls and baskets. Townspeople thinned their beeches to make charcoal to fuel ironworks. Shipwrights shaped oaks to make hulls. No one could prosper without it, its inhabitants knowing how to coppice and pollard their trees so that they would sprout again. So I think this is going to be all about the kind of like the lost art or the dying art of pruning and pollarding and looking after our trees so that they can keep giving to us, so we do it in a way that doesn't kill them. Arborist William Bryant Logan offers us both practical knowledge about how to live with trees to mutual benefit and hope that humans may again learn what the persistence and generosity of trees can teach. Oh, I love that phrase, the persistence and generosity of trees. Yeah, I don't know which to read first, because remember the other day I said I was going to read the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And I did say at the time that I've had it a while and I know it's going to be one of those books I'm going to find emotionally difficult to read. But I thought it was about time I got stuck in. Well, I had it on the coffee table ready to start reading, and then something arrived in the post which I've read in the meantime. I've put her back on the shelf for now because I'm just not sure. So it might be, we'll see, it doesn't matter. I will carry on doing my reading, and when I've read a couple, I'll come back and I'll tell you what I thought. But the other one, I do know who this is from. This is from my lovely friend Jan. She of COVID before wedding. I'm so glad you're feeling better, sweetheart. So she's been reading this, she's still reading it, and we were talking about it, and I said, wow, that sounds like right up my street. Bless her, she sent me a copy. It's not her copy, she's still reading it. This is a complete change from rural living, rural crafts, working with our hands, working with trees, although there used to be wood involved in this sport. It's called, and I'm sure some of you will have read it, The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. Subtitle, 9 Americans and Their Epic Quest for Gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Can't wait. Again, I think it's going to be, maybe it's going to be a bit difficult in places. You know, this is Depression era America. This is 1936 Berlin. This is, you know, Hitler's games. Coincidentally, I didn't do this on purpose. I just realised, I've been turning my books out and showing them off a bit. But this photograph, this book, you can bring it closer, hopefully they won't all fall down. This is a gorgeous book, Charles Sprawson's. It's called Haunts of the Black Masseur. Has it got a subtitle? Yeah, The Swimmer as Hero. The black masseur being the water, it's black and it massages you. Now, when is this book from? Spring 1997. Wow! 2017. 26 years ago I bought this and read it. Haunts of the Black Masseur, the Swimmer as Hero. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book. The reason I'm just mentioning it now is because the cover photo, some of you will recognise this style of photography, some of you will know. This is a photographer called Lenny Reiss. And when was that? Is the photo dated? They haven't dated it. So this is a weird one. I mean, I think Lenny Reiss as a photographer, her eye, amazing. But unfortunately, I said unfortunately, like, I mean, it's way more than unfortunate. She got involved with Hitler. So she's one of those people, it's kind of like, I don't want to like her because of that. But her art, her photography is amazing. And the reason I was mentioning that in relation to the 36 Berlin Olympics is she changed forever sports photography. She was a pioneer in the field. So, for example, when for those Olympics, she had press photographers. She had it so that they could be below the action. So some of the long jumps, they could shoot up from under the long. We'd never seen sports photography like it before. So I'm not going to go on too much about her. She's a controversial figure because of that association with, Nazi Germany, but an amazing photographer. It's a difficult one, isn't it? But anyway, that book itself, Haunts of Black Masseur, it's nothing to do with her. Nothing to do with her. It's about other swimmers swimming the Hellespont, etc. It's a beautiful book. I can't believe it's been on my shelf 26 years. I might need to reread it because I loved it. Anyway, I digress. So, Jan, thank you so much, gorgeous, for sending this through. I think it's going to be a really interesting read because, well, I love sport, rowing, water, love all that. But here are two countries, this difficult times for two countries, Depression America, Nazi Germany. I might have to read this before I read Henrietta Lacks. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I'm chuffed to have it. And what's lovely with that and the tree sprouting, and with the Made in England, is suddenly I've gone from having only about 11 books on my shelf to choose from to I'm suddenly up to 15 or 16 books to choose from. So if my mood, because that's the thing with books, isn't it? Who said it about the wine? This isn't, it's like, they're not, was it you, Paul? I think it was, about, it's not a pile of books to be, waiting to be read. It's more like how we think of a wine cellar. We don't think, oh, look, I've got to drink all this wine. Books, unread books on shelves in my own personal home library, it is like my wine cellar. It depends what mood I'm in. You don't put that bottle of wine with that food, for example. You want to pair it to the right food. And it's exactly the same with books for me. I need to pair it to the right mood. So back to the Henrietta Lacks. I didn't pick it up the other day. Just feeling a little bit fragile myself, emotionally fragile, so I thought it's not the right time. Hang on, let's have some chocky. Oh, so good. Sorry, I should have made all of you one, shouldn't I? Is there anything more yummy? Right, I've got to take notes out of here. So Veronica, thank you, Veronica. Veronica was in a secondhand bookshop recently, saw this and thought I might like it. The Girl Who Reads on the Metro, or, as it originally was, La Fille qui lisait dans le métro, by Christine Ferré-Fleury. Translated into English. I've not read it in French. I'm not that good at French. What a cute little book. It's a curious little book. It's more of a novella. I read it in about 3 hours. And as Veronica said, it's perfect for a rainy afternoon. Well, it wasn't a rainy afternoon, it was a rainy night. It was about 12 midnight, couldn't sleep. I thought, I'll just start. And then I didn't stop. So the premise is we've got our young lass, and she's going to work in a job she doesn't like, and she's travelling to and from work. She's commuting on the metro. She always reads on the metro, and she likes to look at what the other passengers are reading too. Exactly as I used to do. I loved it. I identified with the character very much. And then one day she sort of stumbles into, it's almost like an atelier. It's not quite a bookshop, But she stumbles into this place that has lots and lots of old books and a curious gentleman there. And the books aren't for sale, but they're rather for giving out to people. And he has a collection of runners, if you like, passeurs, who he gives a whole stack of books to and says, right, they need to find homes, find the right person for each book. Watch that person, study them, and then you'll work out which book they need. So it's a lovely premise, and I skipped through it. It kept me engaged, thoroughly enjoyed it, got me thinking, hang on, grab your notes, Vivi. I like scribbling my notes. I wouldn't do this if I was going to talk about, if I wasn't going to be talking to you about the book I've read, I wouldn't bother making notes, but I don't want to forget. Yeah, I've marked this page because at one point, the thing is, it's all about secondhand books, of course, and I love secondhand books. I love secondhand things, full stop, because one can't but help to think about the life it had before it's come into my life. Who had it before me? Where was that person at in their life? Did that book change their life, just by reading it? Or a piece of furniture, when I run my hand on my desktop and I think, how many other hands have kind of just moved along the top of this wood caressing it? How many other hands? What other flat? You see, my table that's normally in the kitchen came from France. Maybe, who knows, maybe it was in a little attic flat in Paris somewhere, and it's ended up in a little attic flat in London. I love it. I mean, look, goodness knows, I'm very, very romantic at heart, and I do romance lives of inanimate objects. Anyway, so I was thinking about how a secondhand book, it's actually two stories, isn't it? One is the story that's contained in the pages, and the other is the story of that book passing from hand to hand to hand. And after I've had it, I'm going to give it away, and it will have yet again another life. I don't know where Veronica is in the world. Her address isn't on there. So I don't even know which part of the UK she found it. Where will it end up next? I love it. And just as I was thinking about that, about the idea that a book has two stories, the one inside and the one of its outside life, I got to this bit. Where does she say it? That's right. She says, she's talking about the history of each book, and he talks about each book is a portrait, and it has at least two faces. He's talking about the book being a portrait of the owner, but because it's a second-hand book, it's going to have at least two faces. And it sort of ties into that thing of the idea of the book being about who needs that particular book, and that our books are very much a reflection of us. What can we tell about a person by the book they are reading? Next time you're on a bus or a train, have a little squiz. I do this all the time. I love people watching, and I'm always, it's the romantic in me. I make up stories for the people I observe in cafes or pubs or trains, wherever it is. I'm immediately making up stories about them. And usually they're really kind of mad things like, oh, that person is a spy and that person is a, fallen angel, whatever it is. There's never anything mundane and prosaic as, oh, that one works in a bank and that one works in, I don't know, Tesco's, and they're having a drink after work. No, I always make it way more exciting than that. Anyway, yes, have a little look around the bus or train next time you're travelling. Look at what folk are reading, and what does their book say about them? Can you guess? Anyway, so, yeah, quirky little book. At times, what did I write? At times it feels a little bit magical, almost fairy tale-ish. At times, initially I wrote perhaps a little bit sinister, and then I decided sinister was the wrong word, more mysterious. And I loved how her imagination, there's so much of it where it's allowed to just take flight in a way that I recognise because of the way my imagination works when I'm on the tube or in a cafe, people watching. I really enjoyed that. Now, the thing is, it is slightly a book of two halves. So this is my kind of, the bit I didn't quite like so much. Not two halves, 2/3 and a third at the end. It changes a chunk. So the first 2/3 I found really imaginative and engaging, and I was racing through it like, what's going to happen? I can't wait to read the next bit. And it suddenly seems to, it just sort of runs out of energy, runs out of juice, runs out of imagination, and everything is quickly tied up. So I thought, honestly, my reaction to this, because it is only short, it's only a couple of 100 pages, it feels like this is a first draft that now needs to go to the editor, and the editor says, it's a great idea, now you need to go and write the book, because this isn't it. This is just the idea for the book. Let's flesh it out and really go for it. So I did think, in that way, it's disappointing, and it won't stand the test of time as a work of literature for that reason, in my opinion. I wish she'd had a better editor to say, okay, now go and write it, because it's not finished. Interestingly, I was reading about her at the back, 'cause it's not an author I know. This is her first novel that's been translated into English, hence I don't know her. But what struck me, this is after I'd finished reading, and I thought, oh, that makes sense now. She only started writing in the last 20 years. She came to writing a bit later. But since she had her first book published, she's gone on to write 80 further books and counting. Anyone who can write 80 books in 20 odd years, that's what I mean. It felt, by the end, it felt churned out. It's like, oh, quick, come up with an ending, get it done, get it published. What a shame. What a massively missed opportunity. However, having said that, I am damning it for that reason. I think it's quirky, it's fun, I enjoyed reading it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, particularly the first 2/3 of the book. Really enjoyed it. Disappointing towards the end, but I don't think it was a waste of time. It kept me company, and it kept my imagination flying. So that's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Veronica, my lovely, thank you so much. That literally arrived in the morning, and it was that night that I read it. Thank you. Oh my giddy goodness. Right, well, that's it for books for now. I've got one more thank you. Because Mary Kate sent me, oh, take out some fabric. That's my bits of fabric. Mary Kate, thank you so much for your card. Look, it's Every Quilter's Dream card. She sent me some spare fabric that she said she had, which is here, and a little bit more there. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous prints. One in particular is so me that I'm going to make something for myself from it and keep it, because I make stuff all the time, but it's never for me. This fabric, though, is absolutely, it's so me. Oh, I love stripes. I love sort of fawn and dusky rose colours. It reminds me, there's no selvage on it. Oh yeah, there is there. Doesn't say there. It reminds me of a Tilda fabric I had a few years ago. Excuse me. And I used it, and then at the last minute, when I used it all up, I realised I hadn't kept any of it for myself. But there's some really, really beautiful, I love these kind of dusky pink, that kind of eau de Nil, almost bird's egg, and that kind of fawn. Gorgeous. Actually, they work beautifully with that, don't they? And then what I'm delighted about, I'm really sorry, I've got a frog in my throat suddenly. There are, Hang on, let me have a slug of water. It's because I tried to neck the chocolate. There are some yellows in here. Now, aren't these cheerful? Cheerful. And I've got a few little bits of yellows and these left from making the lavender bags. Hang on, these two. I love this one. I love a mustardy yellow. Now, I've got a little tiny bit of leftover lavender. I think I've got enough lavender, possibly. I don't know when I'm going to get around to doing it. No, I'm not going to take commissions. But I think I've got enough lavender to maybe make 7 or 8 more lavender bags. Okay, so what surprised me with the sale of the last ones was all the yellows and the creamy colours. They sold out really straight away, within minutes. The ones that didn't sell quite so quickly, the blues, the eau de Nils, all the ones which were my personal favourites, which I thought, oh, these are gorgeous, these are going to go in no time. They're the ones that took slightly longer to sell. So, like I said, I don't normally work much in yellow. I thought, so thank you, Mary Kate. Mary Kate, yeah, it's not Mary Kate, Mary Kate. I thought what I'll do is I'll use some of these because there's some yellows combined with a little bit of my yellows that I have left. I might see if I can make some more lavender bags, but otherwise I don't know what things are going to become. Who knows? These ones seem lovely for this time of year, sort of like cherry blossoms. I haven't noticed blossoms yet this year. I need to get out and about. We need the sunshine to come. Anyway, lovely, lovely, lovely. What beautiful post bags. Gorgeous books, fun books, challenging books, interesting books. I love it. I love books in my life. And love being able to share them with you. So thank you for listening. For those of you who stay for the book stuff. Great, a map of Saskatchewan. That's fantastic. The first thing I looked for on it, because I have had it open already, was Saskatoon. Because I had a friend years and years and years ago when we were living and working in Manchester who was from Saskatoon. And I thought she was making it up. Saskatoon. It's like, that's not even a word. Anyway, it is. It's a place. And I looked it up on the map. Oh, and lovely, lovely fabrics to play with. Although, so from now, my focus now, just quick, then we finish. This is supposed to be a quickie. Focus now is the kitchen. Get the kitchen done. Done, 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 done. Then the focus will be have a bit of a push at the garden, get things up and running at the garden. In terms of tidy the garden up, prep the beds, do some seed sowing but in modules in the cold frame. Rusty, I'm going to have to turf you out, buddy. No, I think I can leave space for Rusty and seedlings in there. So yeah, kitchen, garden. Then the next things like the hallway, the bathroom. I've got it all written down, sort of a schedule, but the focus is going to be very much on the flat, getting the flat sorted, keeping the garden ticking over. If amongst all that I can find the time, and I'd like to find the time, I'm hopefully going to, do these extra lavender bags, but I really, really want to start in on making bunting again. I miss it, I love, and it's always that thing of working with fabrics just brings me so much joy. Painting with fabric, it's beautiful. So who knows, but yeah, I think probably the next time you see me, almost certainly, thick chocolatey sludge in the bottom, excuse me. Have I got a chalky tash? I don't care. Oh, chocolate moustache. Yes, the next time you see me, hopefully, almost certainly, not sure, planning, we'll be doing some work in the kitchen. And I'll bring you along with me and hopefully share some of that with you. And if I can think of any tricks and tips as I go, yeah, I'll definitely share them. It's all right now. I've sat for long enough. I've chatted for long enough. I need to get back to this great big long to-do list that I've got today. It's great. Getting it done now. Good stuff. So until the next one, please look after yourselves, look after each other, keep exploring your book world and trying new things in books because you never quite know. Did you, by the way, from the last one, did you clean your sewing machine? If you haven't done that yet, get doing it. Whatever you do, just, try and have fun with it. Try and have joy in each day. And try to enjoy the little sit-down quiet moments with a mug of hot chocolate and friends. All right, lovelies, for now, cheerio.